Radio check, radio check, radio check. As we are here for the round 2 of European Racing Organization Season 9. This time we're going from Bahrain all the way to Japan for round 2 of Ero Season 9, as I said. My name is Wojciech Śmigowski. I am the owner of European Racing Organization, the true home of league racing. Don't tell me there is any other story, any other league. And Ero Pc F1 commentator, as usual. Here we have the Grand Prix on the far east, and we are having a couple of exciting drivers coming back after rather one round of absence, or like a year of absence, but we'll know about that during the race. We're just awaiting the McLarens to actually pick the cars and join the lobby, as yeah, we're seconds away from starting. As Ryan Grob and Tim Bayer have just joined our session, and we are going to start within seconds. Just waiting for Tim to confirm the car placement. As yeah, seconds away from starting, we've got Cameron Dowds on the championship lead of 26 points, ahead of Drake Dempsey, who has 18, but we're just one round in, so isn't really a big deal. But Cameron isn't racing today, so this may play a factor in the later rounds. But we'll see about that. As we have just confirmed that we'll be starting today's session. Well,
Karol Wiench, PL, said start.
As you can see, drivers are already using the text-to-speech feature, as we are about to start the Grand Prix. As we can confirm, he said that we have to start, and we are starting actually for today's race. This is officially the start of Ero round 2. Well, I'm losing words for a little bit of a moment, but we'll get onto it, because, well, I've got a couple of good news at the start of the race. We've got full lobby today for the very start of it, including Hugo Caballero, who is just loading into the session, who is also a star of the thumbnail today. We also have the heads-up display properly working, and I've also added one or two more features, and you will see them very shortly. And next up, well, welcome to the show, as the Japanese Grand Prix is about to start in Ero Pc F1. As you can see, we've got beautiful sunny weather around the track in Japan, one of the most fascinating circuits in the world entirely. We also got 2 Tony Riches and 2 Fosses, so that is very interesting. 2 Bill buses, okay. We'll not care about that, as you can see first drivers are already coming out of the pit lane. That includes Tony Ritchie, the Season 8 champion, who is out on track, who will warm up his tires and will be probably the first one to set a lap time. Going through the grid, by the way, we've got most of the full-time drivers today. Apart from Dorotsky and Cameron Dowds, as I said at the very start of the stream. Well, I cannot really do stream introductions at the very beginning, but yeah, I guess it's fine. As we're back into the proper action. Starting off with the reserves, we've got Lucas McGinty, the PCF2 race winner around Japan. Unfortunately, there was no stream yesterday from that tier, but we know the results. It was Lucas winning, as it's a fantastic news for the Alpine driver, who actually gets the chance to race today in the first year. I also believe there might be some probability of rain, as you can see, there's plenty of drivers who quickly came out on track. There's only 4 of them who stay in the pit lane. Hugo Caballero, by the way, has to set only an out lap, which is he just has to validate the setup and then go to the pit lane, considering his qualifying ban for today's race, for the collision between him and the Ferraris, the qualifying in Bahrain. As the first one to set a bunker will be Tony Ricci in the Alpha Tauri, about to start his first lap of the session. The Season 8 champion made an introduction to a hot lap in Bahrain. Now he was going to do so in in Japan, as we've got Julio Figueroa starring on the hot lap on the Thursday video we've got before the race weekend. Next weekend is planned to be our Le Pen Rouge Season 8 champion on PlayStation. However, starting now, Tony Ricci, first qualifying lap of the session, as he's on his way through the section one through the famous Suzuka SS. What's this lap time is going to be? It's going to be 32.1 at the very start of the session. This is the first section one of the entire qualifying. Tony Ricci puts a 32.1. Now going through this hairpin, and then we'll go into the spoon. This is sort of a straight, but we're turning right the entire time around here before the spoon corner, braking around at the 50-meter board, using a little bit of a curb on the outside, then not really touching it on the inside is the way to get the fastest lap possible. Then we're going through one of the main straights around Suzuka. As you can see, there were starting slots, as Tony Ricci sets 11.9 throughout Sector 2. Now we're going into Sector 3 with only 2 corners, the famous 130R and the chicane right after, in which we are ending the entire lap around Suzuka. What's the lap time of Tony Ricci going to be? It's going to be 28.4, placing him on provisional pole, as he was the first one to make a lap. Now, speaking of the reserve drivers, we said about McGinn replacing Dorotsky, and Cameron Dowds is replaced by a man who wasn't league racing for 1.5 years, but still has that speed, so he is all instantly joining PC F1. That is Kamil Komon. Welcome back to league racing. He was actually racing here in Season 1, but these were just 3 performances in total, 1 social race and 2 Season 1 races. That was still on PlayStation. Kamil Komon instantly goes on 4th, so that is great pace around here he's showing. Looks like he's not rusty at all, despite taking 1.5 year of break, which is quite a long time considering league racing, where even like 2 months can be eternity. Of course, it shows that it's Tony Ricci on the Haas making the hot lap on the heads-up display, but it's not true, as Kamil Komon made a successful lap around Bahrain instantly into 4th place, so that is great for him. On the second, we've got Team Bayer, 3 tenths behind Tony Ricci. Then we've got Julio Figueroa, less than a tenth behind McLaren. Meanwhile, on the other end, Ryan Gropp, 30.6 is what his lap time is. As I cannot see any signs of rain. In fact, it's getting even brighter around here, less clouds than the start of the qualifying. So it just false hopes for a bit of twist around this qualifying. Continuing though, Diogo Moraes, who wasn't here in Bahrain, has not made a lap, the first lap of his actual season, as he's rejoining to the pit lane, as there's 5 drivers with not a single lap time being set. These are Robertson, who also was racing in Bahrain, Caballero for qualifying ban, and both Alfa Romeos. If this was full qualifying, we would know at the moment who would be out of the qualifying. That is interesting. Common teammate for today's race, Marvin Moore, who is a full-time Haas driver. I don't know why he's going for a lap, despite having no fuel. Did he just miss the pit lane entry? This could be very interesting. He could be. I don't know what's going on with Marvin. He's got no fuel, so no way he's saving it. Also, Luke Mills, very good 5th place for the Red Bull driver. Both Red Bull drivers failed to land the top 10 of Bahrain Grand Prix. Remember the collision between Hugo Nilsson and Luke Mills that happened on the exit of turn 9. Well, that was actually pretty funny one. I'll be completely honest with you all. You try to make a super strategy to let Hugo finish as high as possible, then you spin him out. As you can see, also Fraser Robertson going for an nth place. And is qualifying Hugo Nilsson on the 6th gear, so I don't believe he's making a lap. How about Kulpa Vlakovic? He's also not on lap time. As you can see, all of the settings here are correct even with the standard safety car, but this isn't really a reason to restart the race instantly. Even though we've got just one safety car. And the only reason for that safety car to come out and the Bahrain Grand Prix was Carl Wiem's steering wheel going off. Let's focus a bit more on the session though, as, well, even though it's the round of the championship, we already know who's going to be in contention for some really decent performances, and these of course include Tony Ritchie, who got 4th place after a 5-second time penalty on the last, being given on the last lap of Bahrain due to a collision with Kulpa Vlakovic, when there was all of the chaos regarding Team Bayer's puncture on the final lap. Continuing though, we've also got another contenders of Mercedes drivers. Despite the 2 DNFs, I still think these two are capable of fighting for race wins, to say the least. And this season, we've also got Ferry Wagen on the 5th place, very decent debut. Going on, Drake Dempsey of course on the 2nd, and also the McLaren drivers, I believe, are in the shout for something in this season, in 2023, as Team Bayer, we all know the story of him. Unfortunately, finishing with a puncture and only P11, despite the fact he was still a leader of the Grand Prix when crossing the line to start lap 29. As Julio Figueira is kind of on the hot lap, and Marvin Moore causes a collision with no fuel. I don't know what's going on, if he's using an AI or what. But he's just spun Julio Figueira out. There's another controversy regarding Marvin after last week's Bahrain Grand Prix. Well, I don't know what's going on with Marvin, to be really honest. He's letting pass one of the Ferraris. Now he's going to let pass the AlphaTauri, or not really. Well, the Haas driver with no fuel is causing trouble at the moment to all drivers. I don't know what's going on. Is it the AI taking control, or we have severe desing issues? Not sure, but he's not going to the pit lane again. So I don't really know what Marvin is doing. But this, I believe, is already a qualifying ban. Julio Figueira may also report it as well. If this keeps going on, he might be disqualified for the race, so... Not sure what's happening. But the Haas driver definitely putting on controversies around Japan already. Meanwhile, Ryan Gropp puts on the 4th place in qualifying after literally requesting for a restart of the session. 28.7 for the McLaren driver, who was thinking there is realistic car performance being set in the session. However, it's not. So McLaren has got a very decent team, 2nd and 4th around here. Camille Coleman meanwhile on the 3rd, setting up another lap time. Figueira being pushed all the way to 5th. Moraes goes 6th in the qualifying. Fraser Robertson, meanwhile, probably not him, but either him or Vien have backed out from the lap due to Marvin's AI, which is currently in sector 2 and 3, so we'll see about that. We've seen the controversies around Bahrain already in the qualifying, as Hugo Nilsson, for example, got stuck in the gravel, and Hugo Cabero and his collision with one of the Ferraris, I remember that was Bilbas, has got him banned from the qualifying around Japan. As Marvin Sayas still refuses to go to the pit lane. I don't know what's going on. If we are going for the restart, I'm also considering. Harrington is out of the session meanwhile in 130, yeah. As Stonewich is out of the session as well, retiring the pit lane, thinking his lap time is enough for the pole position. To be honest completely with you, I'm not sure what's going on here with Marvin Moran still being on track. As far as the drivers say, he's already going to be reported, with his AI still being on track with no fuel. One on Mercedes of Figueira. Is he going to improve his lap time now? I'm wondering, as he had to go past Martin Moore. As he's just about to cross the line now. The Mercedes driver goes for the second place of 128.6, despite being blocked by Marvin on the second round of qualifying. As Marvin Moore finally goes into the pit lane. So he probably finally listened. But I don't think he's going to start in qualifying of next week, especially with the amount of reports he's going to get with his AI. Well, you have to remember that in the league rules. Your AI is actually responsible for, you are actually responsible for the actions your AI does. Unless it's a ghost and you've been suddenly disconnected from the session, then you can't really do anything. Or in some emergency matters. As Drake Dempsey is currently out for yet another lap. There's a Williams that's letting him pass. That is not Pavlaka, which is also on the run as well. So you got currently 3 drivers and all of the issues being sorted. Finally, for the Japanese Grand Prix. Unfortunately, it results with Marvin not racing today. However, we are in 4 racing with all of the 19 drivers on the grid. Figueira is out of the session in the pit lane. Very decent qualifying session for him. However, he retires thinking it's not going to do any more laps. Actually, this is the last round of the qualifying. We've just realized. As Pavlakovic currently on his way to the spoon corner. The one that has seen, for example, Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen incident back in 2018. I'm actually still so... I'm not actually mad at this, but still I can remember myself getting a little bit too emotional considering Sebastian Vettel bottling the title chances back then. As Pavlakovic about to finish his lap, crossing the line to get 29.6, placing him on P16. Next up, to cross the line, we've got one of the Alfa Romeos. That should be not Drake Dempsey. However, Ferry Wagner currently on the 7th. I believe he's just starting. There's also one of the classes. That is Kamil Komon in Sector 3. He's got purple Sector 1. Sector 2, sorry. So there is a chance for him to go onto the pole position. As Kamil Komon, the man who's come back after 1.5 years into Sector 3, is going to cross the line now and place himself on provisional pole position. 28.3. That is amazing lap time from the Haas driver. Wow. With all the pace that he's got when he was still racing back in 2020, for example, well, he still got it, and it's not the end of the career for the Polish driver. He's returning a provisional pole at the moment, but it's not the end yet, as Drake Dempsey currently on his final qualifying run as well. 1.6, 1.7, 1.8 through Sector 2, we're just approaching 130 yeah. He's losing 79 thousandths of a second to Komon as he's about to cross the line after this chicane. Kind of smoothly going through here. Nilsson retires from the session and to the pits. And Drake Dempsey is going to take the pole position. No, he does not. He's 1 millisecond ahead of Tony Ricci. That was very close qualifying session for the two drivers who are considered to be championship contenders. Just 1 millisecond between them. Diogo Maris finishes 4th. 28.5, so that is another great lap time. Ferry Wagner finishes the session in 8th, and I believe that is the end for today's qualifying. Kamil Komon returns with a pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix, so great to see the Polish driver coming back and already doing this. As these are the official results of the qualifying. Komon Kamil takes the provisional pole ahead of Drake Dempsey, who finished 1 millisecond ahead of Tony Ricci. So that is very, very close. Then we've got Diogo Moraes, Julio Figueira, Tim Baia, Ryan Gropp, Ferry Wagner, Luke Mills, and Karol Wienk with a decent qualifying. Probably a bit of a redemption on the 10th place. Then we've got Foss Bilbas just out of the top 10. Lucas McGinty, Fraser Robertson, Marvin Moore, who's not racing today, unfortunately, Kasper Niemczyk, Jack Harrington, Kul Pawlakovic, Hugo Nilsson, and another Hugo, Caballero, who got a qualifying ban and will start from the last place. So we're about to start the Japanese Grand Prix within seconds. Meanwhile, let's take a look if it's possible still at the Drivers' Championship. Well, it's not showing just yet, but if there was formation lap, I would easily show that. How about now? Because this is the interesting question. We also see the weather conditions for the race. It's sunny, beautiful weather. We'll not see the championship standings. Well, that was one race anyway, just saying, as Cameron Dowles leads the way in the championship ahead of Drake Dempsey. Then we've got Kul Pawlakovic and Tony Ricci. That is the top 4. And we can't wait for this Grand Prix, the round 2, to start. As well, we're about to start within seconds. It's going to be lights out shortly. We're waiting for the players, all of the players, to load into the grid if there's issues regarding any of them. Then, well, not the greatest situation after all. This does not look the best, I will be completely honest with you. As yeah, we're racing. As Karol Wienk is out of the session, he needs to rejoin to it, as we've got 5 laps ahead of the drivers. It slides out and away we go. Kamil Common gets a decent start on Drake Dempsey, and he's going to keep the lead of the Grand Prix ahead of the Alfa Romeo and the Alfa Tauri, who are now nearly side by side to turns 1 and 2. There's a McLaren of Team Bayer trying to make a move on Julio Figueira, as Kamil Common keeps the lead of the race. Then we've got Drake, then we've got Tony Ricci on the another podium spots. Then Diego Moraes, both of the McLarens. There's little incidents. Actually, there's no incidents as of now. Now there's the first yellow flag of the session. That is Wagener. That is a virtual safety car being called out instantly. But as I see, there should be just 1 wing damage to Ferry Wagner with this VSC being deployed. So this might be the reason why the safety car has been called. However, Common, Dempsey, Ricci are the leaders of today's Grand Prix, the top 3. The virtual safety car being deployed, well, not the greatest situation at the lap 1, but it's not a full one just yet, as we're about to restart the Japanese Grand Prix, sorry, within seconds. As the drivers are warming up the tires, we can meanwhile look on the strategies they've got. There's 2 drivers on softs, and these are both Ferraris. And we've also got a couple of medium runners. That includes Niemczyk, that includes Harrington, Wienk, who's just joining the session, Caballero and McGuinty, as the race is on now. Green flags again. Kamil Common leads the way, as Jonathan Foss is spinning round, and Byron Bilbas probably did not handle the restart pretty well as well, losing their couple of places. However, they back at the 10th and 12th respectively. As Drake Dempsey, well, he needs to calculate for the championship. Ferry Wagner, well, spinning in the pit lane and getting 5 seconds. This is the best start, especially with a wing damage. He needs to hope for a safety car in order to recover into this race. Kamil Common leads the way still throughout Sector 1. As the gap between him and Drake still is around 0.4 of a second. Top 6 very, very close to each other. Julio Figueira just out of the DRS of the McLarens, probably rejoining very soon considering how close these drivers are, and that we're still on lap 2 of the race. Mills and Foss fighting for the position number 10. Drake probably getting a good exit on 200R, as Ryan Gropp and Team Bayer probably swapping places, even though they lost DRS touch with the top 4 on that. As Kamil Common actually leading the way through to 130. Yeah, we're about to finish the lap 2 of today's Grand Prix. Really great pace being shown from the Polish driver, as he also sets up the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. There is yellow flags in Sector 3. That is Luke Moore spinning round before the chicane. I don't know what happened there exactly. However, the Haas and the Alfa Romeo, 2 Ferrari-powered cars, are very, very close to each other, so we'll watch on that. The top 2 fighting for a win around here. On the Suzuka, it's one of the most legendary circuits, which has seen at least a couple of Senna Prost incidents, still to be named exactly. As Tony Ricci is just following these 2 drivers, being just in touch with DRS. The group of 8 drivers is on the front DRS train, as Kamil Common leads it, but Drake Dempsey having decent exit after happen and just being 4 times behind Common. I wonder when he will go for a move, because there's just 1 DRS straight you have to remember on this track. And that is the start-finish straight, which is also not too long. So there's little of overtaking opportunities unless you go bold and you attack into one of the corners, as Drake Dempsey is not using any of the DRS. He probably saves it for the main straight, as he's very, very close to Kamil Common. He's now 2 tenths behind the Polish driver. as the man on the Haas, well, under pressure now from Drake Dempsey. Is he going to use any of the battery? He's getting the fastest lap of the race. He's definitely using DRS, as you can see, as Jan Dan Vos gets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Drake Dempsey very, very close to the Haas, who's been sliding around a little bit through the S. Is probably not the best setup for today's race. The Haas driver has 2/10 of a gap. That is really, really close between these two, as Tony Richter is slowly fading away into the back. Not of the field, but out of the DRS definitely. Just 8/10 of a gap. Maybe 7 as of now. But yeah, it's slowly enlarging. Then there is Diogo Moraes putting him under pressure. But he's also now out of the DRS, so I wonder what's going on there. Drake Dempsey very, very close to coming now. That was 30 centimeters within touching distance. As looking at the current situation, I wonder what's going on. Because Carovian for some reason is on position number 20, but we've got him around the midfield on ahead of Caballero on the 15. So I don't know what's going on around here. This game is just wonderful, as you can see. Probably showing him as a lap down, but we'll see about it. As now Tony Richter has rejoined the fight for the victory of today's race. Drake Dempsey very, very close on Camille, but not close enough to even think of a move. McLarens have just swapped places around here. As the team buyer is in front of Ryan Grob. Here, Ryan Vos also rejoined the field. As you can see, now the DRS train contains 9 drivers. Then there's another group from Arian Bilbas to Lucas Magenti. Looking back at the leaders of the Grand Prix, there is Drake Dempsey just behind coming still, as there's yellow flags in Sector 1. That is Hugo Caballero just being overtaken by Luke Mills after spinning ground on the exit of the SS. Kul Pavlakovic also being overtaken by McGinty, the PCF2 driver, doing very well indeed in the race. Maybe only P13, but it's still good enough as a PCF2 driver who is having his first performance in PCF1. Hugo Caballero spins again due to overheated tires. Now can Drake go for a move on Camille Common? You remember the action around Bahrain? That was pure beauty a week ago. How about today? Are we going to see an overtake into turn 1 from Drake? Or is the DRS straight just too short in order to even think of a move? Well, Bahrain is beautiful for racing. Japan is beautiful for Japan is perfect for driving by oneself, as there's not too many places to go for a move and take the position. Common struggling a little bit throughout the SS. However, Drake very, very close on him. Robertson makes a move on Bulbas on 10th place meanwhile. So maybe we'll check on the midfield, as the gap between the 9th and the 10th is 5 seconds already, and we're on lap 6 of the race. So I can see the top 9 has gone away from the rest. We have to catch up now. But well, they at least fight, as Iron Bulbas on the old soft tires, or they are old soft tires, even though they're the same age as the hards. They have much more wear compared to the cards, as there is Robertson going off track on the right-hander. Now we're going into the hairpin. Iron Bulbas goes for a move down the inside, touches with Fraser Robertson, and through goes Hugo Nilsson with a double overtake potentially, as he also has to overtake Arian Bulbas around the outside into Spoon. They were side by side. Now Arian Bulbas is behind Hugo, and that move was made by the Red Bull driver. No mind games here, no DRS plays, no train. We just go racing, and you can see this works for Arian Bulbas, making a proper move on Hugo Nilsson. On Fraser Robertson. Then Hugo Nilsson has overtaken these two. But Arian Bulbas, you can see he's closing down on Hugo Nilsson. Will he go for a gap? As Hugo Nilsson, I believe he lifted a little bit for 130 yards. He's now approaching DRS. Drake Dempsey stays on the second, not really worth watching as of now. And the top of all the mind games being shown right there. Iron Bulbas using his DRS, but not enough ERS, or no ERS at all to think of a move. Kugonelson spins round, calls out the yellow flag on the entire track basically, but this is one of the beloved glitches as Kugonelson now rejoins the track on position number 15 as we have to consider Karol Wienk, who somehow lap down. But he will be reinstated after the finish line. At least, if not by the game, then by the stewards, as Kamil Common slides a bit, so Drake Dempsey might find a chance to make a move into turn into Spoon. As Caballero is out of the session, retires into pit lane. First DNF of the race in Japan. Unfortunate, disastrous weekend for the AlphaTauri drivers. Arian Bubas has to back out of the will-to-will fight with Fraser Robertson into Spoon. Now he's under pressure, not only from Quill Pawlakowicz, but Lucas McGinty as well, who's also been overtaken by Quill yet again. The Alpine drivers making a move on Quill into 130. Yeah, this will not end well. However, even though Quill is off track, well, this ended up good as McGinty with a little bit of a lag. But however, everyone is gone away unscathed from this fight. As there's also an overtake made on Kamil Common from Drake Dempsey. We did not watch that one apparently. Fraser Robertson, I've seen someone spinning ground on the exit of onto the entry of turn 3. However, this did not happen as Lucas McGinty still fights Quill Pawlakowicz side by side. Now has to go off track to save himself. Karol Wienk overtakes him. Well, Karol has a lot of work to do when it comes to this race, as Fraser Robertson still fights Arian Bubas, so this is one to watch around the midfield. As they are now side by side to the double right-hander, and Arian has to back out of the position. He needed to give back the position on Fraser Robertson, who's also spun around as well, so more trouble for the Aston Martin, more trouble in the midfield. Well, midfield makes this race pretty exciting, to be honest. There's also a spin of Ferry Wagner in the back of the grid, as the top 9 of the race stays relatively the same. As Karol Wienk makes a successful unlapping on both of the drivers of Arian and Quill. Niemczyk with the second time penalty of the race, but the first one for track limit specifically. That is 3 seconds added to his time, as Quill Pawlakowicz and Arian Bulbas fighting together into the chicane. However, not move has been made as Arian Bulbas, well, we move back to the front now as Tony Ritchie makes a move on Kamil Common as well. So great first laps from the Polish driver. Now he's losing a bit on the race pace. However, he still has a lot to gain in this race as the gap between, remember, the gap between Ritchie and Dempsey has been just 1 millisecond. Now in the race it's 0.8 of a second. So Tony Ritchie actually has to push hard in order to make a move as Arian Bulbas goes into the pit lane. There's a spin of Quill Pawlakowicz into turn 2, so I believe there was a bit of a contact. There's plenty of action going on here in Japan. We cannot just focus on one, to be honest. As Team Bayer very close on Diogo Moraes, putting the Williams under pressure. We also have Kamil Common losing a bit on these tires, on these car tires. Team Bayer will go for a move around on the inside into the spin. No, he's going to wait for a better opportunity. But you can see how close he is into the Williams, who has missed the first race of the season in Bahrain. However, in Japan he's instantly doing well. 4th place in the race, 4th in the qualifying. Kamil coming out of the track, by the way, for a moment. But we'll return to the leaders of the race as Tony Ritchie and Drake Dempsey putting on a fight. And this one is actually being won at the moment by Tony. There will be no mind games between the title contenders, especially considering the fact Cameron is missing today. These two, well, will be very close to each other throughout the entire season, and we can see it right now. Tony Ritchie makes a successful move on the main DRS straight as Jonathan Voss is the first one to go to the pits, as he started this race on the soft tires. Now he has to go to the pit lane, go for the hard tires, unless he wants to make a miracle and finish the race on the mediums. We'll see about that. As we don't want lap data, we want the tire strategies as of now, as Jonathan Foss is on the hot. Tony Chair, well, not the greatest entry into the hairpin, however, still good enough straight line speed in order to keep himself ahead of Drake. As no fighting will be made as of now, Lucas McKinty rejoins the track on position number 17. The gap between these two is currently 0.4 of a second, as we'll have DRS after the chicane that's upon us. Kamil Komin will be just in DRS, I believe, of these two drivers, but I don't think he's going to join the battle. He's just going to be safe on the third place, as Tony Rich and Drake Dempsey. Well, Drake is closing the gap, but not enough to even think of a move, as Kacper Niemczyk spits into the pit lane. Retires in the session surprisingly on the 8th, so there must have been an issue in the Alpine. As he's out of the race here in Japan. Unfortunate disaster for the Alpine driver. As well, Niemczyk out of the session surprisingly, even though he's been on 8th. That is one of the weirdest scenarios yet to be seen, as Sonny Richey still leading the pack ahead of Dempsey. We're on the main straight as of now, as well, there's not too much action going on at the moment. So just a quick story before any other action happens, as we remember that Japan was meant to host the Season 8 finale and probably the title decider in both PCF1 and PSF1. However, the unfortunate circumstances made it not happening due to, well, other reasons than just cancelling the race. You have to remember that in Season 8 the Japanese Grand Prix, once again, was meant to host the finale. However, it has been cancelled midway through the season due to one of the most popular sports in the entire world hosting a World Cup final. And, well, we were aware that everyone was going to watch it, even including me. Now, Diogo Moraes fights Team Bias, so we'll interrupt this story a little bit with this fight, as Diogo Moraes out of the track, making contact with Team. However, McLaren has made a successful move into 4th. As Diogo Moraes is going to fight Team again, unless Team tries to give back the position. He's not. He's fighting Diogo actively, so we'll stop the storytelling. We'll go with the Japanese Grand Prix action, as Diogo Moraes wants to get ahead of the McLaren as soon as possible. He knows he's out of the DRS already if he overtakes the McLaren, but he doesn't care about it. He makes the move into 4th. That's not any mind games. Now he has to regain 0.2 of a second. However, these two are having a fight, proper fight, around the Suzuka. So, definitely worth noting. As Diogo Moraes currently is still losing to Kamil Komin despite overtaking Team Bayern, having clear air ahead of him. As we're also approaching the also approaching the lapped Haas driver of Marvin, who is not in the session, as Diogo Moraes 1.5 seconds now behind Kamil Komon, who is currently on the safe third. However, we can move to the Drake Dempsey versus Tony Richer action. As you can see, we're before the round of pit stops into the medium or maybe even soft tires. Drake Dempsey is just 1.5 tenths behind Tony, so we can feel like there is a chance to make a move into the lead of the race from the Alfa Romeo. He's using the RS definitely. However, it's not enough of a gap to make a move. Ryan Gropp into the pit lane on the meantime, as he's gone for medium tires, I believe. And my predictions are correct. The lapped car of Carl Viench, well, theoretically lapped car of Carl Viench is now made a move into the 8th. As every of the drivers on the top 6 now makes a move on the lapped car of Marvin Moore. Actually, his AI. Diogo Moraes still losing on to Kamil Komon. The gap is now 1.6 seconds. We have to consider that there's only one DRS straight around him, so I don't think it's a matter of the DRS straights. If it was Bahrain, we would think, yeah, there is DRS, there is plenty of DRS available around the circuit, so not really a big chance to regain throughout all of the corners. However, here in Japan, there's only just one place with the assistance of the gear wing and drag reduction system. As Diogo Moraes with Team Bayer go to the pit lane, Diogo Moraes breaks the bolliard. All the drivers will go for the medium tires. Diogo Moraes gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding at the pit lane. Figueira joins the pit lane as well. And that, I believe, yeah, is medium tires. Team Bayer will not have a puncture into this race, most likely. Julia Figueira has also come out of the pits, and he rejoined on the mediums as well, as just confirming, yep, all of these 3 drivers have gone out on the medium tires, and now Ryan Gropp makes a move on all of them, and that undercut was successful all the way along, overtaking all of the 3 drivers, and now this is a chance for Ryan Gropp, maybe even to push for a podium, as he's around second ahead of Team Bayer. Around Japan, at least the Gary Swallow plug-in has showed us that you can lose around 25 seconds. So I believe there is a chance that Ryan Gropp will go for a podium result here in Japan. Redemption for the McLaren after disaster in Bahrain, even though Ryan Gropp finished on the 5th. Well, Team Bayer could have won that race very easily if he just survived one more lap. We have to remember that Kulpa Vlakovic, who also had the same strategy as the McLaren driver, had got a tire wear of around 68%, so getting a puncture, Team Bayer has exceeded the puncture territory of 75% definitely. But how precise, what was his tire wear precisely? I'm not really sure. He hasn't told that just yet. He just got punctures. Tony Richer and Drake Dempsey both go to the pit lane, same as Kamil Komon. So we'll see if Ryan Gropp can take the lead of today's race and maybe even go for a sensational win for McLaren and redemption for the season opener. As I believe all of these 3 drivers got the perfect pit entries. Tony Richer goes out of his garage on the lead of the race. Now the question is, Ryan Gropp with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so he will definitely be ahead of Kamil Komon. But how about the rest of the field? Maybe even not ahead of Kamil Komon, but he will be in touch with him. And considering the top 3 now has cold tires, he may think of a move into one of the corners, as Tony and Drake might be a bit too far away, but he's having Kamil Komon within touching distance. You can see he's struggling the Haas driver around the S's, although they may warm up your tires very, very quickly. Ryan Gropp is very, very close. He has a little bit of ERS to play with. Kamil Komon has way more. However, there's a chance of making a move into the hairpin, the left-hander hairpin from the McLaren. Tony and Drake are focused on warming up the tires, but Ryan Gropp, I believe, will stay in 4th. There's a spin somewhere at the back of the field. That is, I believe, Carl Viench, who is shown by the game to be on the last place, but he is not. You have to believe that, actually. He's on the P5. No, that is Fraser Robertson, apparently. Let's make sure. Yep, that was Fraser Robertson. As Ryan grew up nearly with a spin on the exit of the spoon corner. Now he lets Team Bayer pass. But though Team Bayer has got no ERS, as we're rejoining the action for the final 11 laps of this race. Drake Dempsey, you can see again very close on Tony Ritchie. He's now going to use his DRS, his ERS as well, so he's going for him into turn 1. As soon as I can see, no he's not. He's going to be very close on the Alpha Tauri. He's going to have a half look on the outside of turn 2, but he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it in this particular lap, as Hugo Nilsson goes to the pit lane. Kirill Pavlakovich currently on the 9th place. This performance for the Williams. I believe Hugo is going to rejoin around position number 14. As Team Bayer has now lost the RS touch of Kamil Komun, who's currently on the 3rd place. But now, we have action between Drake and Tony to focus on, even though there's no overtakes. Probably they wait for the last lap of the race, or the second last lap of the Grand Prix. As Ryan grew up, well, Team Bayer spins round again. Another disaster for the McLaren driver, who's now going to lose a place to Jonathan Foss, as Team Bayer with troubles. Another spin on the exit of the hairpin. However, I don't think he's got any wing damage, so he may as well continue and go on with the race. As Drake Dempsey again close to Tony Ritchie. However, no move has been made around here. It's simply a bit too far in order to think about it, as let's as well see how many ERS Tony Ritchie has, and he's got plenty of it. He's actually got near full battery to play with. He just doesn't have to use it as of now. Maybe on the final laps there will be some action that would make him use a bit of ERS in order to defend from the American, who's right behind the champion of Season 8. Using short shifting to the hairpin. As well, and very interesting to see, by the way, the gap between the top 8 and actually the rest of the field is 17.5 seconds, and you have to consider Japan has to go to the pits, I believe, or he was in the pits early on. Yeah, Luke Mills is the only one not to make a pit stop. Tim Bayer probably made a move on Julio Figueira in the meantime. We didn't see that apparently. Well, as you can see, Harrington is on the 50 lap, full hard tires on the meantime. So I don't think these tires are going to survive, knowing what happened to Tim Bayer, and also what happened to me back in Season 5 of PlayStation F2. Moving on. Top 3 are again close to each other, so there might be some action between these two, but this is a perspective for the future. Robertson with 3-second time penalty. And as we can see as well, the gap between the 3rd place, between the 3rd place and the 4th place is still getting bigger and bigger. So even though Ryan Grove had a chance when he was undercutting the rest of the field, now he's not having that easy. He was very close to attack the podium places, to say the least, but however, this half spin on the exit of Spoon made him lose time. Then he let Team Bayer pass, then Team Bayer got a spin. Now the 4th place is in 2.5 seconds to the 3rd place. That's not the greatest situation, though he's still visible coming on for the McLaren driver on the same straight, as you can see. But he's barely visible. And Diogo Moraes has got 5-second time for spinning at the pit lane, so I don't believe he's going for a move unless he's got loads of pace that he can use when overtaking Ryan Rob. But if he was going for a move on lap 21, he would have to gain 5 seconds in 6 laps, so that's near a second per lap, which I believe with Ryan's pace is not that easy to make. Flick away around the 7th, with a DRS of Team Bayer meanwhile. Adam was trying to get that DRS. Biel now gets a 5-second time penalty, but it's the track limits. Drake Dempsey is still very, very close to Tony. The gap between these two is half a second, so I believe with Drake 62% of DRS, as you can see, he may consider going for one on the later stages. We actually cannot follow this one unless something else happens, but to be completely honest, the only other fight that we can follow is McGinty versus Bilbas for position number 10. And there is also Jauch, that is, with one of the Red Bulls, which would be Luke Mills. So Karol Wieck is currently on the provisional ninth, despite theoretically being a lap down. Seattle Flags in Sector 2 are caused by Fraser Robertson. Surprisingly, we got only one incident, like proper incident, throughout the entire race, and that was the start. Of course, excluding Marvin's qualifying, AI staying out on track. Drake Dempsey with another line compared to Tony's one, more of cutting to the inside. Tony going for a wider exit of the hairpin, and that allowed Tony to stay ahead of Drake into Spoon. All of these three drivers currently staying within half of a second of a gap throughout the entire track. Everyone is just going happy on their current places. With none of them even thinking of a move into any of the corners. Well, there's only 6 laps to go as of now. That would mean, well, the end of the race is coming closer and closer. So drivers, I believe, are now saving ERS, not really thinking of moves at any point. But when everyone has 100% of ERS, it's not going really to work. Considering the fact everyone's going to have the same battery, so even the DRS advantage wouldn't be that big, as Luke Mills goes to the pit lane. Is he going for another fastest lap of the race, I'm wondering, as he's probably pitted. Yeah, he did pit for the soft tires. The closest battle to follow now is Lucas McGinty and Arjan Bilbas for the 9th place, or actually 8th, sorry, 10th, the last points paying position. Considering Bianca is back into the session. As McGinty keeps himself very, very close. Honor and Bilbas will switch the action between Ryan Grob and Diogo Moraes, who are probably on a bit of a fight. As you can see, Diogo Moraes is using DRS on Ryan, as he's going for a move around the outside to turn 1. He has to back out of it. and will stay currently on the 5th place. Also, the gap between Drake and Tony is now 0.3 of a second, so that's very, very close. That's worth noting for the future laps. Meanwhile, following Lucas McGinty on Arjan Bilbas for the last points paying position. Well, great debut from Lucas already. He knows he can go for more than just the first not paint paying position. We can see how close he is to the Ferrari driver. So yeah. On the meantime, Diego Moraes still very, very close to Ryan Grob, still not really making a move. However, he's now having a slipstream from the McLaren. There is a spin in Sector 1. That is cool, Pawlakovic. Richard Robertson makes the fast lap of the race. But now we're focusing on Diego Moraes backing out of the move again from Ryan Grob. And not really making it. And he nearly spins round now. Ryan Grob has got no ERS. Now, Diego Moraes is using that. He's got all of the battery to play with. Now he's going down the inside of the Ryan Grob, making a move into 4th place. However, Ryan was very, very close from making a switchback. However, the Williams driver and Season 7 PSF1 champion has made a move. And he's got it. We'll move on to Drake Dempsey and Tony Ritchie. The gap is just 0.2 of a second. As these two will probably fight for the race win. Well, not probably, but definitely. As Team Bayer gets 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so that eases the situation of Diogo just by a little bit. As we've only got 3 laps to go, 3 laps in the sector apparently. Still awaiting action. By the way, what has the biggest interest on me is Arjan Bilbas having a gap of 33 seconds to his teammate on P4. So you can see how big this is. And he's under pressure from McGinty. So what's happening to the champion, not the champion, but the runner-up of Season 7 and the 3rd place of Season 8 driver? I don't really know, but he's barely getting points this season. And the other forces, you can see, getting better results than him by quite a mile. As Drake Dempsey still doesn't make a move, even though it's just 3 laps to go. Lucas McGinty following closely on Arjan Bilbas. Team Bayer makes a move on Ryan Grob. I believe this was a swap. As Team Bayer has 2 seconds of time penalties. Dan Diego Moraes and the team effort is being put on there. Continuing with the top 2 fight, Drake Dempsey close on to Tony Ritchie, 0.3 of a gap. This is very little. This actually is a case of just 1 DRS straight in order to make a move. Drake Dempsey has put on probably a bit of attack mode as of now. And look, he's got a half spin, or a little bit of a moment, sliding car on the exit of the hairpin. However, he's using a lot of ERS. Tony Ritchie has got near all of the battery in order to fight for that victory. And he might have a DRS from the AI of Marvin Moore, which may actually help him. We'll see about that, as he has to survive behind the Haas until the end of this straight. However, he probably stays behind the Haas. We'll see about that. No, he's going ahead of the lapped driver, or lapped ghost apparently, Drake Dempsey. Well, he's going to have a bit of a chance now, as he's going to have Tony Ritchie with no DRS. He's got DRS himself. He's not using any ERS, so he waits for the last lap in order to make a move. Quilton Fokovic stops in order to let past the top 3. I wonder what was the purpose of this, but fine, sure. As you can see, the Williams driver now lapped behind Kamil Common. Japanese Grand Prix has proved that there are bigger gaps than we thought before Bahrain. As in Bahrain, we've got fighting all the way around every single corner. Lucas McGinty, unfortunately, is out of the race on the exit of 130. Yeah, there will be no safety car. Very unfortunate ending to the race for Lucas McGinty. That was very great performance from him. Now he's out of it. And will not even score a single point. But we're moving on to the last lap action of the race, as after the spoon and 130 and the last chicane, we have to have one last 5 kilometers of the race. As Drake Dempsey, he has around 15% of ERS to play with. Tony Richter uses it all as well. So, well, even though Drake has the ERS, Tony has plenty of ERS, so I believe this may stay the same, even though Drake gets a decent exit of the chicane. He's not going to make a move probably. He's using all the battery, but Tony uses it all as well, so I believe all of the strategy gains considering the battery have not gone to Drake's advantage, and Tony Ritchie, well, is there a chance for Drake to make a move into any of the corners? Only if he's like reducing the gap to like 2/10 and sitting literally on Tony's gearbox. But I don't think it's happening. Tony Ritchie, well, he has to survive one more lap, or actually no, just 2 more sectors in the corner, in order to prevail in this Grand Prix, as we're getting closer and closer to the ending, to the checkered flag. I believe most of the race is going to stay the same, actually all of the standings, with Tony Ritchie, Drake Dempsey and Kamil Komoń going onto the podium. Then we've got Diogo, Tim and Ryan Gropp, which will be changed a bit after the penalty, so I believe Ryan might go for position number 4 at the end of the day. However, well, Drake no more chance to make a move, 7/10 of a gap. Again he will be second, but this time the winner of the Grand Prix is not going to be Cameron Dowds. The hustle of Kamil Komoń is behind, not ahead. That means Tony Ritchie has just 1 more corner to go in Japanese Grand Prix. He's going to win in Suzuka, in the homeland of Honda, for the AlphaTauri. Drake Dempsey finishes second, saves his car. Then we've got Kamil Komoń, Diogo Moraes, Tim Bayer and Ryan Gropp. We'll see how does it change. As I said, Ryan Gropp goes on to position number 4. Then we've got Jantan Foss and Julio Figueira. There's a big crash at the background, but that is after the line. Karol Wieruch about to finish the race in position number 9, considering his disconnection that he wasn't lapped down when he was rejoining. So I believe he might as well be in. We'll see about that after the race, after the steward's decision. However, it's Arjan Bubas definitely getting a point, but how about 2 points? We'll see about that. Then we've got Hugo Nilsson on 11th, Lukmus on the 12th as of now, as I'm considering Karol Wieruch on position number 9. And Jack Harrington, who is probably going for the fastest lap of the race. As you can see, he's having purple sector into sector 2, of course. And is he going to get the fastest lap? He is. So that is a first point for the Mercedes driver this season. Mercedes are actually getting double points today. I'm going to listen to the driver of the day award, but does it really matter when you're on the final points paying position? And Tony Ritchie wins for AlphaTauri Honda in AlphaTauri's and Honda's home country. So that is another reason for all of the Japanese fans to celebrate. Not of the action around Japan, we're just not about ending. We're not just about ending the live stream in general, as we're also going to quickly interview the top 3 drivers of today's race. as these are the entire standings. Well, the only drivers who have not finished the race are Caballero and Niemczech. I don't know what happened with the Alpine, however, well, the quick time from the 8th place. And then we've got a couple of lap drivers. Well, that's it for Japan. Now, quick press conference going on. As we can already see, we have the first driver to join us. Hello, Camille. Well, very good race from you. The return to league racing. Third place already. Pole position. Well,
yeah, it wasn't really bad of a race. Got pole position, started it well. I was on P1 for quite a while, first like 10 laps. Then yeah, the guys were just faster. Then at the end, on the second stint, I just tried to follow them, and yeah, that's how it ended.
yep. So, just a great return from you into league racing. Third place already. So,
Thank you.
Yeah. GG.
GG.
We're awaiting Drake and Tony to join the press conference. Definitely Drake is joining us as he's just about to join us right now. Again, the second place, but this time it's not the Haas at the front, it's the Alpha Tower in the front. So let us know about today's race, Drake.
It was mid. It was okay. I didn't really outstand as much as I would have hoped to. And of course, missing out on the win in 2 weeks in a row isn't very ideal. But at least I think I'm leading the standings. But I'm not gonna say anything about what I think occurred today. But who knows these days? The current state of the game, you never know what's going on.
Yep. As I believe these are all of the conferences, as we're just awaiting Tony if he's going to join us for today's conference. I don't think so. So yeah, that was just a quick round of Japan in round 2 of European Racing Organizations Season 9. As next week we're going for the Spanish Grand Prix, and this is where we're going to watch yet another episode of the action of Ero Pc F1. That was it for today, and around 40 minutes is going to the PSF1 Grand Prix is going to start, so you can join that one as well. Goodbye.